What's up, makers? In today's video, we're going to do an experiment and process to combine two of everyone's favorite guilty pleasures, epoxy resin and LED strips, to get this pendant light. Let's see how it was done. I got out a few cookie slabs that I'd had lying around for a while and used my router flattening sled to get them flat. There's already a ton of videos out there explaining how these router flattening sleds work, so I'll just link to those rather than reinvent the wheel. Now, since I've flattened a few slabs at once, I actually picked a different one than shown in this video to do the project, but the process was the same. And here's the actual locust slab that I used for this project. I used a chisel and mallet to go back and remove the bark, and then hit it quickly with my orbital sander to remove anything I missed with the chisel. So before we get to the LEDs, I'm going to use some epoxy resin to fill in the cracks and voids in the slab and stabilize them so that we've got a solid workpiece. And just like in my last video for the brass river table, I'm going to use some red translucent pigment in the epoxy. This clear red pigment has become my go-to for any wood that has a reddish hue to it, like this locust or a cedar, mahogany, or sassafras, for example. I then hit it with an inexpensive heat gun to remove any air bubbles trapped in the epoxy. Then, after letting it cure for 24 hours, I came back and hit it with a heat gun quickly to heat up the epoxy and make it easier to remove from the surface with the chisel. One thing I noticed when I was using this trick this time is that if you've got some larger areas covered with epoxy, the chisel can tend to dig into it, so you do have to be pretty careful when you're doing this. And after chiseling, I just hit it quickly with my random orbit sander. I'm going to finish sand it later, so this was just a quick pass to get everything flat. One of my main goals with this project was experimenting with ideas I had for using epoxy resin to create organically shaped LED lights that followed the grain pattern of wood. And I wanted to see if I could carve out the channels for these LEDs by hand using a palm router. So I decided to experiment with this on the back I knew I'd be carving out later to make room for electronics. While I think you could do it, I'm not very skilled with a palm router, and so I decided ultimately to try a digital fabrication method for the actual channels on the front. In order to get an accurately proportioned image of the slab that I could work with on my computer, I set up a top-down photography rig and made sure that the face of the lens was exactly parallel with the surface of the slab. I then took the image of the slab into Affinity Designer, which is a program that I use that's similar to Illustrator, but I think a better option because of its price point and no subscription model. I used the spline tool in Affinity Designer to trace out a pattern that followed two of the rings in the slab exactly, so it got wider or narrower in the same spots that the ring did. And this is going to be the pattern that I'm going to use the Shaper Origin computer vision assisted router to cut out on the slab. And this way I can create exactly the look I want on the computer and then know what it's going to look like when I cut it out using the tool. And it's a great use for digital fabrication, and again, you could do this by hand with a router, but this way I know I'm getting it right and it eliminates the margin for human error when you're routing by hand. I can then export the image as a file that the Origin can cut out on the slab. So I had to make a really simple three-part jig for the Origin in order for it to work on the slab, and let me explain why I had to do that. The Origin gets its bearings while it's cutting using a camera to see a special tape with markers that kind of look like dominoes that are called fiducials that surround the workpiece. Since the tape has to all be in the same plane and the camera looks outward in front of the cutting bit, you usually have a piece that's the same height as the workpiece surrounding it with the tape. Now, when you have a 3/4 inch piece of plywood, you just use some of the same plywood to do this. However, since the slab is an odd height, I had to use two pieces of plywood to prop up a piece of plywood to be the same height as the top surface of the slab and put the tape on that. I scanned the slab and used the Origin's touchscreen to drop the channel image that I designed on the computer onto the exact right location on the slab. I then used a pocket cut setting to roughly cut out the interior of the channel without going all the way to the edge, and then went back with a finishing pass to just take off the last little bit and get the clean channel in the exact image that I'd drawn on the computer. Before we get to that LED epoxy pour, let's take a minute to hear from this video's sponsor, Bombfell. Between my full-time day job and my obsession with making things and sharing it with all of you, I have zero time to shop for clothes. Enter Bombfell. Bombfell is an easier way for men to get clothes that look good. You just fill out a simple online questionnaire and are then matched with a personal stylist who picks out a selection of clothes based on your tastes and preferences. Once you get your order, you've got 7 days to figure out what you like and can send back anything that you don't want. Plus, right now, Bombfell has a Keep More, Get More offer, where you can increase your savings by increasing the number of items that you keep. I just received my first Bombfell shipment and I really like the clothes that I got. But don't take it from me. Let's see what the old me thinks of the new me. Looking good. I mean, not quite sawdust as man glitter, but I dig it. However, what about something for work? Yeah, I like it. I like it. Lastly, how about something for the Chicago cold? Right now, Bombfell is extending a special offer to my subscribers. Just visit bombfell.com/Modustrial and you'll get $25 off of your first order from Bombfell. Much love, Bombfell, for supporting the channel. It's appreciated. And now, let's get back to the build. Back to the build, it's what everyone's been waiting for, installing those LEDs and then covering them in epoxy. The first thing we have to do is drill some holes in the bottoms of the channels out the back of the slab so that the wires from the LED strips can come out the back and be wired to our controllers and power supply. I threaded the wires from 2 LED strips through those holes and then used the adhesive backing on those LED strips to adhere them to the inside of the slab. The first type of LED I used were individually controllable variable white colored LED strips that I've used in past builds, and the second type was a new type to me at least, which was a side emitting warm white LED. These side emitting LEDs are oriented such that you can adhere them to the sides of the channel and the light will be emitted straight downward. I then used a hot glue gun to seal up the holes with the LED wires running through them and basically create a dam so that the epoxy wouldn't flow through those holes and escape all over the place when I poured it. I then mixed up a batch of clear 2-to-1 epoxy resin, and for this project I'm using a 2-to-1 kit that comes from Total Boat. I really liked it and I'll link to it in the description below. These pumps make mixing really foolproof, which if you've seen some of my past videos, I've had some issues with. For this first clear layer of epoxy, I filled up the channel so it just about covered the LED strips but left quite a bit of room. I came back a few hours later after that first layer had firmed up and mixed up a batch of epoxy with an opaque white pigment. Now, since this is opaque, I just wanted to pour a thin layer that was enough to cover the LEDs so it would diffuse the light that they emitted and get a nice even light, but wouldn't block too much of the light. If I'd filled it up all the way, then that probably would have made it much dimmer in the end. By the way, if you're enjoying this and want to see more, I've been sharing lots of behind the scenes over on Instagram, so head over and follow me there. And if you're new here and aren't subscribed yet, then hit that subscribe button. Thanks. After letting the layer of white epoxy cure overnight, I came back and gave it a final clear coat. And I really liked how this looked because it almost looked like a back painted glass with the opaque white layer behind the layer of clear epoxy. After the epoxy had cured, I flipped the slab over and started routing out a cavity that the electronics would sit in. Now, I realized at this point that this is something that I really should have done before I had installed the LEDs and poured the epoxy, but hindsight is 20/20, so I had to make do. And I also chiseled out some channels from the holes where the LED wires came through the back so that they could sit flush. And I used the chisels to avoid cutting the wires, and then somehow, boneheaded me had a chisel cut right into 2 of the wires and basically chopped them off right at the point that they were coming out, so you couldn't even solder them as they were. And you couldn't get the LED strips out because they were set in the epoxy. So eventually the solution I arrived upon was to use a Forstner bit to carve out the area around the wires, and then use my heat gun and some pliers to pull out the glue that I'd used to dam up the hole. Now thank goodness that glue was actually in filling most of the holes, so there wasn't epoxy, because it was easier to remove, and I eventually got it out enough that I could solder some replacement wires on, and then really carefully chiseled out the channel for the other wires on this second set of LEDs. And with that channel cut, I could then use a heat gun to soften up the hot glue in those holes so that I could fold those wires over and flush against the back of the slab. At this point, I looked at the electronic components I had and realized that the back of the light was still going to look like a hot mess, so I decided to use a hard maple cutoff from another project to create a circular cap that would go over the electronics on the back of the light. To create the circular shape, I used my palm router and a circle cutting jig, which I showed how to make in a past video, and cut a circle about a 1/4 inch deep into the maple. I then took the maple chunk over to the bandsaw and used the bandsaw to roughly cut out around the circle, leaving just a little bit on the outside of the area that I'd routed out. And by the way, this is my first time ever using a bandsaw, and pretty cool. So anyway, after cutting that out, I took it over to the router and used what I fondly refer to as the world's scariest router bit to clean up the edges with a flush trim bit and get a perfect circle on this maple chunk. I then went back with my palm router and hacked out a bunch of the wood from the center to make a cavity where the electronics could go. And this probably wasn't the most efficient thing, but it worked. I then used the palm router again to create a chamfer around the edge of the cover plate. And this gave it a really clean, modern look, I think. Lastly, I drilled out some holes that I would use for the hardware that would hang this light. The last thing to do before installing the rest of the electronics was to sand and finish the slab. So I started by using my orbit sander up to 240 grit. After that, I switched over and used some hand sanding pads up to 1500 grit. And the reason I went this high is because I really wanted the epoxy to shine so you could actually get that back painted glass look from the clear epoxy layer over the white painted epoxy layer. Then used Maker Brand Finish, which is becoming my go-to for really quick finishing, to finish off the cookie slab and the maple cover plate. Next, it was on to the electronics, which are actually really simple in this project if you're not an idiot like me who chops the wires off and then has to resolder them. So speaking of soldering, I actually think you can do this project without soldering, so don't be afraid to jump into this. It really is just using some pre-made LED kits to do the lighting. You could also do it with just a standard one type of LED strip and not use the individually controllable LEDs, and that would greatly simplify it as well. After soldering a new JST connector onto the individually addressable LED strip, which was the one that I had inadvertently chopped, I used some heat shrink tubing to reinforce the new soldered joint. So what I have here is a 12 volt AC to DC power supply transformer. This component just takes the AC power from your outlets in the wall and transforms it to DC power that's used to power LED lights. I then use these really simple lever nut connectors to split the output from the power supply to go to the two LED strips. Since the individually addressable LED strip is actually a 5 volt strip and not a 12 volt strip, I had to use a step down voltage converter to bring the 12 volts from the output of the power supply down to 5 volts before it went to the controller, which was just an inexpensive controller I got off Amazon for those 5 volt strips. So I'm not going into a whole lot of detail on the rest of the electronics because the dual LED strips was way overcomplicated. But the one other thing worth mentioning is that I did use a standard Amazon pendant light kit and just soldered the positive negative connectors on it to the transformer. I know I'm going to get some questions on it. The first being whether you can replace the LED strips, and the second being whether heat is an issue. So you can't replace the LED strips, and yes, heat is an issue. It actually could reduce the life of the LED strips. But this was an experiment, and I've got some further refinements and variations on this technique that I'm working on as we speak. There's going to be at least one, maybe two more videos in this series exploring the LED epoxy lighting. So make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already. Also hit that bell button so YouTube notifies you when they go live. And remember to hit that like button if you like this to let YouTube know. It really helps me out and I much appreciate it. Much love to y'all. That's it for this time, and I'll see you next time.